Hello. I sound a lot more positive this time, I guess. Um, hey, welcome to another Sword and Shield critique. I'm sounding a lot more positive, not because I am, not because of anything I have to say, criticism-wise. No, there's still going to be very rough criticism, but, I'm in a good mood because I actually did listen to your advice, Destiny Dragon. I took a break for a day to kind of let the stuff settle, so I am feeling a lot better. Not as upset. I figured for two reasons I'd do it. One, because I think I needed a break from the emotional stuff, but also because I uploaded the first two sessions within really the span of like what 24 hours, and I wanted to give people a chance to catch up. Um, I don't know when this is gonna go up. Probably later tonight, actually, given the usual track record. I'm recording these much later. I usually am recording these at 12 p.m., which is usually after like immediately after I finish a session. So today you can hear my lisp. I'm actually recording at 8:39. So that's one of the big differences. Um, I actually did mean to record this yesterday, but I just got kind of depressed because playing this game is kind of part of that. But just in general, this game, just it's things just put you down. And you just want to take a break. So first off, we got another comment from Destiny Dragon. Actually, I'm gonna reload the page just to make sure that if nobody else commented. Yep, nobody else. That's fine. Um, so Destiny Dragon wrote this. This is on the Nuzlocke forums. Didn't mean to seem like I was telling you how to do your job. It's your series. You run it however you want. Just thought it was worth bringing it up in case you were trying to be more balanced. The only reason I brought up CF was to say that I've been there. Yeah, it's Blaze Blue. Okay, that's great to know. Not sure what's up with the spelling. Might have something to do with the Japanese pronunciation. Also, I'm praying that the aftermath of Sword and Shield isn't anywhere near as bad as how CF left the fanbase. I will admit that part of the mellowing out comment is just might just be me, as I've gotten more laid back over time, especially in the last year. I really hope Team Yell drops out of relevance quickly, because I can tell the joke's not funny, and they won't be able to make it funny, and this is from someone who believes any kind of joke can be funny if done right, and has been proven right on this countless times. There are a couple games I want to compare Sword and Shield to, but I'm going to wait and see how this plays out. Um, First off, to respond, no, don't worry about it. I'm very thankful for the feedback. Honestly, I'm glad I actually took your advice, because I feel a lot more relaxed, because this game really does stress me out a lot when I'm playing it, because yes, I'm really going around to find every little detail of what is wrong, and that kind of starts to work you up, because big things, they come, and and they you break through them and whatnot, and like, yeah, you get tired afterwards, but when a lot of little things add up, it's very difficult to get that out of your system. So and that's kind of how these go. You know, Usually after I play a session, it's like I experience like some really things that I don't find acceptable for the game while I'm playing it. So, but no worries. I was not offended or anything by your comment, or your previous comment. That's fine. It's advice. I'm not there's no I'm not gonna get angry with you for it. So don't worry about that. It's all fine. Um, yeah, I mean, there's a part of me that also hopes that the aftermath of Sword and Shield isn't very bad. But the problem is, based on things I've seen, and I've seen really bad things because of it, it's pretty bad on both sides. You have sides that hate this game that are doing really nasty things, and you have sides that, you have the people who are siding with, Game Freak or whatever, with, that like the game, that are doing bad things. That's life at the end of the day. I think the damage is already done to some extent. I have a feeling that this game will probably. I don't think it'll kill the franchise. But what I do think it's going to do is it is going to, a considerable amount of people are probably going to stop playing these games, especially if they keep going in the direction that they're going. I definitely think that, Game Freak will lose. Um, they will lose a portion of their fan base. The only problem is it really doesn't mean anything because they always have a new supply because there are always children being born in the world, so there's always going to be new people joining the fan base and giving them money, so it really doesn't matter. I know that's a really cynical take, but it is kind of just the truth. People who are going to stop playing the new games and whatever, it really doesn't matter if they do or don't. I think the only way that this could be mended is if the next game has all of the Pokemon back. And I'll be blunt, I'll be very blunt. One of the major reasons I am going really in depth on criticizing every aspect of the game is because of the National Dex cut. Yes, I know that's going to sound very, very bad to say that flat out, but it is the truth. That is why I'm really going in depth because I'm trying to find the answer to the question of why did they cut all of these Pokemon when they haven't done that before? So I'm trying to look at every aspect of the game, even the minor stuff like the backgrounds and whatnot. I'm trying to look at in order to truly understand what makes this game so radically different that Pokemon needed to be removed entirely, in order for this game to be made. As for the mellowing out thing, yeah, I think that just comes from person to person. That's different for everybody. Some people mellow out and some people don't. I tend to be the kind of person who doesn't. Usually I just, it sucks to, I hold grudges on these type of things. If I don't like a game, I'm usually never going to like that game again unless something very radically different happens, or something like happens that changes my entire view on the thing. But for the most part, I am the type of person if I do not like something the first time, I'm not going to like it the second time, and I'm not going to like it after several years have passed. That's just me. There are people who aren't like that, and there are people who are. So, yeah, I agree with that statement. I don't mellow out, and that's just me. So, as for the Team Yell comment, yeah, definitely hoping to never see them again or any reference to them. God, as of right now, they are my least favorite. I am surprised to be saying this, but they are my least favorite evil team in the entire franchise. And this is coming from somebody who absolutely hates Team Neoplasma because they're just the most unoriginal. I mean, I don't like Team Flare, but I just hate Team Neoplasma more because Team Plasma in the previous game was so much more compelling. But no, I gotta say, Team Yell angers me so much more than Team Neoplasma. It just from the concept alone, it's just I understand that we're trying to be less serious with the antagonists of the game or with the evil teams or whatever, and that's fine. But I think they got it right with Team Skull. Team Skull, they were goofy, yes, but they didn't look stupid. They looked like an evil team. And you could take, you could take the joke and it would be funny, but they were also, while not a serious threat, they were also, they at least had a presence that, that didn't feel entirely like a joke. They're a gang, they're not sophisticated or anything along those lines, but they are a gang, and they are dangerous. Team Yell is just a bunch of goobers. They're goofy goobers. Yeah, and the design is just not helping them. I don't mind the female design because I don't think the female design is so overly exaggerated to the point of ridiculousness. But the fact that, the male design has to be these fat goobers, and I don't say that with for anybody who's overweight, please don't be offended by that. I am also overweight. I am 300 fucking pounds. And, I don't mean any offense to that, but it's just like, really, you have to understand, when you make these characters like that, it's kind of offensive. Hey, I don't like to be the type of person who gets offended by things, but, it offends me. That, because I know they're not the primary antagonist, but it's just like, the evil team has these fat goobers in it. It's just like, why do you have to use a stereotype, for this? I know that Skull had stereotypical gang members, but it's just like, do we really need to see these guys' bellies sticking out, and they just look so dumb, and their little, their little yelling things, it's just dumb. The other thing I hate is just the name. I hate the name Team Yell. It's just so dumb. Like all the other names, yes, I'm not gonna say the other names are great, but God, Team Yell? Come on. It's just so dumb. I hope we can go back to, a slightly more serious team. I'm not asking for, Shadow the Hedgehog level of edge. But it's just like, can we at least have an evil team that can be funny but also has at least the appearance of something cool instead of something that's stupid? That's just me. Either way, I am awaiting to see what games you're going to compare Sword and Shield to. Personally, my thoughts are it's very similar to Fallout 76. Because in Fallout 76, there's no NPCs or anything like that. It's like the most bare bones of Fallout, There's really, I feel like comparison-wise, if you compare the fact that, the cutting out of things that are, important to the franchise. In the case of, Sword and Shield, they're cutting out, most of the Pokemon. And in the case of Fallout 76, they're cutting out, pretty much a coherent story. Now, at the same level, no, they're not at the same level, but I do see the similarities in that. And also the way that both of the companies kind of lie to the consumer about the reasonings for why they're doing these things. Bethesda is far worse, but, there are similarities, in my opinion. There are similarities to this. So, yeah, thank you for your comment, Destiny Dragon. I just like to make sure I cover these things first and foremost. And now let's get on with the critique. So, we're on session 3 now. We're going to be covering, because this specific session, we're going to be covering a little bit more of the wild area, as per usual. We're also going to be covering Route 3, various battle arena problems, the battle background issues. We're also going to be covering, Route 3, the Galar Mines, the first fight with Bede. And also we're going to be covering, and Route 4, as well as the first gym of the game, and Milo. So I am, we finally made it to the first gym, which I gotta admit is very surprising because I don't think it's ever taken this long to get to the first gym of a Pokemon game. Now that might be part of maybe that's just a me thing, but, I also kind of expect that players are going to spend a lot of their early game in the wild area, because there's just, there's a lot of stuff to see in the wild area, and there's also the max battle rates. So, yeah. Starting off, I did some more stuff in the wild area, and I wanted to bring up this point sooner. And yes, let's just bet that almost every session is gonna start with the wild area, because the wild area is probably one of the most important parts of this game. So I do want to spend as much time analyzing it as possible. Yeah. I'll be blunt, I don't find the wild area very interesting. As of right now, I don't really like the first major wild area. there isn't much to do there, especially early game. I mean, you can get access to a lot of Pokemon. I do like that. I like the fact that you're able to get ice types and types you normally wouldn't get very early on. You get a lot of access to types you wouldn't normally get. I mean, I have an Axew, and I also have a Snorunt. It's like usually those two Pokemon in their respective games that they're usually not until mid to late game. So, I find that interesting. I find it intriguing that we have those. Um, but something I wanted to bring up. Something I really wanted to bring up. I do not like how the day-night cycle functions in this game. And specifically the fact that it only functions in the wild area. And I think this is a bad idea. Because personally, one, because the day-night cycle has been a part of this series since Gen 2. Yes, it did skip a generation with Gen 3, fine, but it's been a part of the series since Gen 2, and it's continued to be a pretty big part of the series, especially involving evolutions and whatnot, and all that jazz. I don't like how the day-night cycle is pretty much only relegated to the wild area. It's also very jarring when you go from wild area to town, because 1 minute you're in nighttime and then suddenly it's daytime, and I find that a little bit jarring, presentation-wise. And I just find it, it's going to be kind of an issue because I know that there are evolutions in this game. I know all the evolutions are in this game. And I also know that there are various Pokemon that evolve at night in this game and during the day. And because of that, I don't think it was a good idea to limit it to the wild area. I think it was kind of something that just doesn't really work. Taking out the day-night cycle and then still keeping in the Pokemon that are related to that. If they had to make a difference, I would say, why not give them stone evolutions instead? That would probably be the closest way to fix it. In my view, I think a major way to fix it is, let's talk evolutions specifically. All you'd really have to do to fix that scenario is evolve into Umbreon using a Dusk Stone or the Moonstone, and evolve Espeon with the Sunstone. I think that would work. I think that would be a good way to mitigate this problem if they really had to go back to no day-night cycle. If they really had to do that. I don't think they had to do that given the hardware they have. I mean, considering it's a Nintendo Switch and it can process day and night in other games, so I would imagine it could process it here. I don't know. But I figured I'd just bring it up because I just think it's not a very good idea to remove this feature, but that's just me. I also tried to join a max raid battle again, and I finally got to talking. I'm also a part of a server, a part of the Distant Kingdom server. And yes, the Distant Kingdom server. You probably know who the Distant Kingdom is. He is one of the big critics of Sword and Shield. And yes, I watch his work. I think his work makes a lot of effing sense because of the major flaws that kind of surround Sword and Shield. So earlier today, I asked in the server I asked them how max raid battles work, and basically I got confirmed that, yeah, early game, nobody's gonna fucking join you, because early game, you get the max raid encounters that don't have the star ratings in them. And apparently the higher the star rating for these, the higher the star rating, the higher their stats are. Or I guess it's the more basically their EVs and IVs are highly increased based on the star rating. And a major issue with that I have is, so basically what it means is nobody's going to join your fucking raid battle, at this point, because nobody cares to join your raid battle. They're most likely in late game trying to, get Pokemon with very high stats for competitive play, which, good on them, I guess, but, that kind of defeats the point that I guess Game Freak was trying to go for. It's just like, yeah, go catch wild Pokemon with your friends and with other trainers, and that's what I wanted to do because, I thought that was going to be a very cool feature, but, needless to say, no. So it's like, it's just kind of pathetic. Continuing on, I decided to fish in Motosuke because I did some more exploration in the area, found a couple TMs and whatnot, before leaving the city. And something very interesting happens here. So, in Motosuke, you are in a city, and it is primarily like it's got a brick texture to it. There's a lot of bricks in stones all around the place. So you are in a city. So when you go down to the docks, because there's like a dock area for the city. When you go to the docks and you start, fishing there, when you go into battle, you're suddenly transported to a random field. And keep in mind that the Pokemon you're fighting is a fish most of the time. It's both of the times I did it, it was a Magikarp. So it's a fish. But suddenly you're fighting on land, and like flat land with no water around, in the middle of nowhere that has no correlation to where you were on the map. It doesn't look anything like the city you were in. It doesn't look like water. So it's just, you're fighting a fish on land. And it's pretty jarring, to say the least. It's pretty jarring. I did film it, so it'll be something I post up on the forum alongside this critique. It's also something you can just find on my YouTube channel. Probably before this comes up, because I usually upload the video footage I have before I upload the critique. So considering that, yeah, it's pretty jarring. So I then happened upon the uniform shop, and I really like it. If there's anything in this game that I can absolutely praise, it is the customization. Trainer customization is definitely one of the best aspects of this game, and I definitely like it a lot. I think that the various sport uniforms are very cool. I think, I specifically got myself a steel one. Big issue with them, though, is that, damn, they are costly as shit. They are $18,000 in-game. So, yeah, if you have to do them, if you're gonna get them, you gotta get them, like, lickety-split. The only thing I had a problem with is I didn't get any memo that, you could wear I didn't get any memo in-game that told me to, that more or less told me that I could put the uniform on during the first gym, or whatever. I had no idea how to switch that, but I guess apparently you just have to have it on by default. I got switched into, my, standard uniform attire when I went to the gym, and, I was like, it's cool, but, I wanted to wear my steel uniform, because I thought it was very cool and techno. So, yeah, I also got, 3 large pearls while I was out during the wild area. There are trainers in the wild area that give you things for that, so, yeah. Next note I wrote is 2 things is funny. One, when I was fighting Hop during our 3rd rival battle, which is in Motosuke, right before you leave to go to Route 3, one of the funny things that happened while I was recording my notes was that I called him How. And I think that says a lot about his character. He is very similar to How in just not behavior, but he's just very similar to How in just the way that it makes me feel, because it's like they both have this positive, upbeat vibe about them, and it's kind of too similar, and it doesn't help that their designs are also kind of similar. Um, so, yeah, but they are different characters. They are very radically different characters in regards to their story arcs so far. So for that much, no, I don't think Hop is a bad rival at this point. I know a lot of people are shitting on Hop. Did I call him How again? Oh my god. But yeah, I don't think Hop is a shitty rival. I think Hop is he's an average rival. Yes, is he the stereotypical friendly rival? Yes, but he's also kind of your childhood friend, so I'm fine with that. How, I'm also fine with How. Look, I'm the type of person who thinks that, I'm fine with the happy-go-lucky rivals if their story arcs are done fine. If their story arcs are mediocre, they don't have much going for them, I don't really care. My least favorite rival is Hugh, and that's simply because, the game decides he's the main character, and also because of his just stupidly edgy attitude, and the fact that his motivations don't really line up with stuff that he does, in my opinion. So, I don't really hate the friendly rivals. It does get tiresome to some extent because, this is kind of an overplayed trope with Pokemon at this point, but Hop is harmless in this trope. I think maybe the most offensive characters in this trope would have to be would just be the rivals of X and Y, because they're just kind of they're just kind of there with barely any development. But that is just me. The second thing I had to say about this match is that it has the same problem that I had with the fishing things. So when you fight Hop, you're fighting on a bridge, a brick bridge, and this is before Route 3. Suddenly, when you actually get into the battle, you are, again, in a field in the middle of nowhere with no correlation to where you were previously. So, is the game wanting me to believe that we started our battle, and then we walked all the way over to a field, then battled there, then walked all the way back, and then just transitioned back to, back to cutscene? I'm not buying it on that regard. I think it's lazy that they didn't give proper background for this. Other games have done it right. Sun and Moon have gotten this right. So I don't understand why. And trust me, a majority of the criticisms for this session have to do with backgrounds, because it's jarring presentation wise how some of these backgrounds are in comparison to where you're actually fighting. So I finally made it to Route 3, and I caught myself a Zigzagoon, because Galarian Zigzagoon is really cool. I think Galarian Zigzagoon is just cool from design-wise, and I definitely think it's better than Alolan Rattata. Yes, I know they share the same typing as Dark Normal types, but I think that Alolan Rattata and Alolan Raticate just had far less interesting designs than Galarian Zigzagoon and Linoon and Obstagoon. I think the fact that there's kind of a semi-homage to Kiss, which is something I saw in another one of the blogs on the Nuzlocke forum. Oh god. It's something I saw in another one of the blogs in the Nuzlocke forums. I definitely think that it's the Zigzagoons in Galar are very cool. I just wish that there were more. I wish that there were more Galarian versions of Pokemon that aren't Gen 1. I believe there are 4 or 5 Galarian versions of Gen 1 Pokemon for what reason. I don't even think there's a Galarian version of a Oh, no, wait. There is. There is Cursula. There is Corsola. That's like the only Gen 2 Pokemon that gets a Galarian form. Which, like, I don't know. I mean, let me look at Cerebi. Let me look at Cerebi right now, just for the sake of clarity. Do 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 do. All right, so we're gonna go check. We're gonna go check the Galar forms. So there's Galarian Meowth. We'll touch more on that later. Galarian Ponyta, Galarian Rapidash, Galarian Farfetch, Galarian Weezing, and Galarian Mr. Mime. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Galarian forms for Pokemon from Gen 1 specifically. I don't know why. I don't know why that is. And then compared to later gens, we have only one representative for Gen 2, which is Corsola, 2 representatives for Gen 3, which is Zigzagoon and Linoon, respectively. 1, 2, and I'm going to say it's just 2 because one of them is just the same Pokemon. So 1, 2, 3, 4 Pokemon representing Gen 5 specifically. And then for evolutions, we have 3 for Gen 1, 1 for Gen 3, 1 for Gen 2, and 1 for Gen 5. I'm just, I find it kind of weird, just a little bit weird, that these Pokemon, things are the way they are here. That most of the Galar forms are of Kanto Pokemon. I kind of wish that we got more Galar forms for the other regions. Where's a Sinnoh Galar form? Where's more fucking Johto Galar forms? Or Hoenn? Or shit, where are the Gen 6 and Gen 7 Pokemon with their Galar forms? I would have liked to see that instead of more Gen 1 pandering. I know that's an issue that's in this entire series, but come on, it's been, almost 30 years now? Gen 1 was so long ago, we don't need to keep pushing Gen 1 down people's throats anymore. Why not try to build up a new generation, Try to bring light to other games in the series. Kanto was not that good. Just gonna say it. Just gonna say that. Kanto was not that good. I also use the XP candies, and I want to clarify that I am using the XP candies because I am expecting that normal players of this game, and I'm talking, specifically people who are going to play this game casually, are going to use XP candies. It's just something I expect. I would figure that, a normal player would be doing that. So that is why I am doing that, because I want to critique every aspect of this game that I can. Again, like I said last time, not a big fan of the XP candies. Yes, do they help with getting Pokemon up to speed if you want them on your team? Yes, but I also just feel like it's just kind of condescending. Condescending is probably not the accurate word, but that's kind of how it feels. It's like giving something so easily when, it's not as rewarding as actually leveling the Pokemon up manually. That's just me. I'm an RPG guy. I like the reward of getting stronger, So when I make things go manual, like when I'm not manually doing it myself and shit just happens, it doesn't feel special to me. But, yeah. Continuing, one thing I wanted to state, because of the ability to access certain moves early on, and I'm talking technical records here, I feel like I am breezing through the game, and it doesn't help that I am a grinder. I like to grind. That's what I do. It's what I do in every Pokemon game. It's what I do in RPGs. I like playing RPGs. Now, I don't exactly like to, fly through it, but I like to, I will work myself to higher levels to, beat the game over the head, but at least I feel like I accomplished that myself to get to that point, to make the game easier. Not that the game got easier on its own. I made it an easier experience through, leveling up. But the fact that I was able to access Surf so early on in this game as a technical record and gave it to my Drizzlizzle, um, I'm just absolutely destroying most of the wild and trainer encounters in this game. Even if I didn't have Surf, I think they're just way too easy because even at like Route 4 with the trainers there, it's like they don't expect your Pokemon to be anything higher than like level 14, or level 10 half the time. And at this point in the game, it's just like, considering that it takes a while to get to the first gym, especially if you're traveling around the wild area, because I expect that people are going to want to travel around the wild area and catch Pokemon. Catching Pokemon gives you experience. You fight Pokemon and you get experience. You got the candies. So, I would expect that, they would compensate for that. But no, this is quite frankly the easiest Pokemon game I think I've ever played. Even easier than X and Y, and that game was really easy. But, maybe it's just the way that I have grinded, but I don't know. Part of me thinks that it's just like some of the levels for these Pokemon are a little too low. So moving on, I took a look at the roly-poly design. And I caught roly-poly because I'm actually going to open up Cerebi again, because that way I can actually look at the Pokemon again. Just for the sake of looking at the Pokemon, I think it's a good idea. This isn't what I'm looking for. So yeah, let me scroll. Ooh, that is a lot of fucking Pokemon. Not perfect, but still pretty decent amount. Ooh. Okay. There it is. Roly-Poly. So, looking at Roly-Poly's design, I think it's rather basic, design-wise, but, given the, whole thing with its evolutionary line, because I'm looking at the whole evolutionary line right now, it kind of looks like they're going with a, kind of like taking after the Geodude concept. It starts off as a small, kind of little motorcycle-looking thing, that's a rock with an eye, and then it evolves into a minecart, which finally evolves into basically just an XP it looks like pretty much a perfect XP of, shit. It's bad when I'm forgetting the name of the freaking Pokemon. Shit. Golem. There we go. Golem. It looks like an XP of Golem, just with an additional fire type on it, which, I mean, is neat, but I don't even think Golem's in this game. Gigalith is in this game, that's the other XP of it, but that's about it in regards to that. So, yeah, I caught it because, hey, I want to catch the new Pokemon of the game, but, it's an okay design, I guess. Yeah. Also, another thing I wanted to state, for the entire game, I don't think I have failed a single catch. I don't know if that's supposed to happen, or if I'm just lucky, but I have found it weird that, like, I have not failed a single catch in this game. I don't know if they raised the catchability of Pokemon, or what, but just find it a little bit weird. Um, After that, I encountered my first postman, and the fact that there is a trainer class flat out called postman makes me laugh. I actually laughed. I was walking up in Route 3, and I saw this guy walking around with a bag on in his hands. I'm like, is that a fucking postman? And I get into battle with the guy, and it's just like, postman. I laughed. I actually laughed. So I will give credit. That was funny. I think that was definitely a very funny moment for me. Now, I entered the Galar Mine, and I do like the look of Galar Mine, but one of my I guess one of my issues with it is just that the textures on the wall look kind of yucky. Like, they don't look, high definition. They look like past graphics. Now, the shining rock, parts of it are cool. I think those look really nice, but then it's just like, they're like pepperoni on pizza, but sometimes, but it's just like, but the pizza is kind of rotten. The pepperoni's still fine, but like the pizza is kind of sloppy and gross, and like the sauce and the cheese isn't working right. That's kind of how I feel about it. It's like, it's got nice toppings, but it doesn't taste right. you know, if I can get a comparison with that. Um, but the location looks unique, and for whatever reason, the battle background here looks perfectly fine. It is exactly the location that you're in, which just makes things weirder, because why is it that in certain interiors we get the void, but in other interiors we get, actual design? So, I don't understand why that is. And so I figured I would just bring that up. Um, and I mean, I'm glad it worked out like that, so it's a good thing. I then saw roly polies or roly colies. I keep calling it roly poly, because that's what's written in my notes. Um, I then saw roly colies next evolution design Carcoal, which is, it pretty much, it reminds me of Graveler, you know, through and through. It's pretty much just it pretty much looks like Graveler. It's the minecart Pokemon though, which is pretty interesting, and I like that it kind of focuses more speed than defense, but it still has good defense. But a lot of its moves focus on speed, on boosting its speed, which is cool. Makes sense with the minecart aesthetic. I don't know why it kind of just turns into basically just Golem at the end of the day, but for the most part, I liked the way that it, both its design worked with its moveset. So I thought that was good. Um, then at some point playing the game, I wrote down, I got so bored of playing the game that I actually just started to look at Twitter instead and do other shit. I don't know if that says anything, but dear God, that's not a good sign that I'm getting distracted. Or that I'm getting that distracted. Um, so, yeah, take that, into consideration. Yeah, I will kind of just state that flat out. This game is kind of boring. I think you can kind of insinuate it based on a lot of the things I've said. It is kind of boring because it's very easy. A lot of the fights that I've been going through have been complete curb stomps, where I've just been wiping them out. And, it doesn't help that I have to switch my Pokemon out of my party when they level up too much and whatnot. So, but, yeah, I've just kind of been getting, I got bored mid-session. I got bored and I just kind of stopped playing the game for a bit and was just on my phone. And that's not a good thing. It means I'm not getting immersed into the game enough to, focus on the game, which is bad. So I was about to have my first encounter with Bede. I've been calling him B up to this point, and I felt bad because I know B is the fighting girl is the fighting gym leader from Shield, or from Sword, from Sword, and but I'm finally calling him Bede. That's his name. His name is Bede. So I wanted to see how that goes. And he's definitely a dick. He's definitely the dick rival. He is the asshole rival. He is a mix of. He's really kind of like an XP of Silver, but I'd say he's less evil than Silver. He comes off as an asshole, but he doesn't seem overly malicious. Like, he doesn't seem like, he wants to, like, he's gonna be abusing his Pokemon or anything. He just looks like, he's just an asshole. I like his theme a lot. I've heard it before, because of the trailers and whatnot for this game, but I really do like his theme. It's very catchy. It's, and I thought it was very funky. It has a very unique feel, and there isn't really a rival theme that's quite like it, in my opinion. So, props, kudos. If, and I'll say it once and I'll say it again, the best part of this game is the music. And then I listened to the battle theme for the game, and very techno, but I loved it. Loved it. And then I wrote down, so I tried Shadow Ball for the first time, and I don't like it very much. The animation is way too slow, and I don't know if it's been like that before, but Shadow Ball has always been a very fast move, and I don't know why it travels across the screen so slowly. I don't know what it is with this move specifically, but it, like, I have Snorunt, and I had it learn Shadow Ball relatively early on, and I hadn't used it because, for the most part, I've been using the Ice-type moves because, those currently have Stab. I plan on evolving this Snorunt into a Frostlass, because I've never used Frostlass before, and I've been interested in using it. And one of the funny things about it is just the fact that, because in previous generations, Shadow Ball was a very quick move. You'd see it show up, and then, boom, it would launch into the opponent. But for this game, it's like, the Shadow Ball gets launched, and then it just slightly grows, and then it hits the opponent, and it's like, but it's very slow, and that's very off-putting. I'm not gonna, animation-wise, I just don't think it's very good. So, his team and his kind of aesthetic in general, is very themed around Psychic-type Pokemon. Right now, it's primarily Psychic. He does have a Fairy-type in Hatena, which I do want to catch because I heard it's basically just opposite Gardevoir, and I do want to catch a Gardevoir at some point, just to compare the two. And it fits. Two of his Pokemon were flat out just from Gen 5. It was Gothitelle and Solosis. Which I don't think I've used either of the Pokemon. Maybe I'll do that in this game, just to have a Psychic type. He had 3 Pokemon, so I'm interested to see how he develops as a character. He's pretty much just kind of another Gladion, but without the Lily element to make him develop in that regard. So he has to develop without a crutch in this to prove his worth. But he's kind of like Shadow, like he's gonna be the closest I think we're gonna get to Silver in this game. So finally, after that, I arrived at Route 4, which is very distinctly yellow. I noticed that I can also see Turffield in the background, and damn, it looked like a very large city. I was interested to see what Pokemon were around this route, and my first major thing about this route was Galarian Meowth. Now, Galarian Meowth kind of puts me off. Not because of its design, but because of the fact that it is another form for Meowth, which I don't think needed another form. One, because it got an alternate form in Alola, which you would think would be enough, but for whatever reason, it gets 2, and I don't know why they're pushing for this. I don't understand the reasoning. Like, I know Meowth is one of the major, it's one of the major, mascots of the series because, well, it's, associated with Team Rocket. And Team Rocket always shows up in the series, so yeah, in that regard, yes, it's definitely, I guess it's definitely, a mascot, but I don't think it needed another forum. I don't think it did. I think it was fine with just the two. I'm not angry about it, but I just find it weird that, Meowth has to have two forms. And the other thing about its design is that it does not inherently tell you that it is a steel type. I only found that out through the other blog that I recommend you check out on Nuzlocke forums. If you're watching this from Nuzlocke forums, if you're not, then I'm going to tell you. There is another Sword and Shield blog on the Nuzlocke forums with a lot more positive attitude towards the game, so I probably recommend you watch that more often, or you go to that more often than this, But, yeah, I only found out it was a steel type through that. It doesn't inherently look like a steel type. It doesn't look like a dark type either, mind you, but it doesn't look like a steel type. I think the only thing that closely even represents steel in its design is just the fact that the color of its fur is slightly darker, and that's it. that's really it. So I caught myself one because I was interested in seeing how that would go, and and whatnot. Let's see. And yeah, I don't really have much to say about it. It's Meowth with a beard, and that's about it. I do know it evolves into it definitely evolves because, Persian, but, I don't know why. Why did they feel the need to make, and its evolution just looks like a slightly larger Meowth with horns. So I don't know why, and it doesn't look like a steel type. So I don't know why they did this. I'm not angry. I just think it's kind of something that, didn't really need to be. Kind of just did not need to be. I'm not offended by it. I just don't think there was any need for it. So, that's just my thought. Oh my god. So then, after I caught myself a Yamper. Because I know it is one of the most beloved Pokemon in the series, currently. It's a very cute Pokemon regardless. I'm not going to criticize its design. It's a very cute Pokemon. I like Yamper. The other Pokemon on this route was Electrike, which I didn't want to catch not because I don't like Electrike. I love Electrike, but because I've used it before, and I want to use different Pokemon than just my norms. I don't usually use my norms for the most part because I don't really have specific norms. I think, I like to use Lucario specifically. It's one of, and I always like using the Water-type starter, with Gen 7 being the only exception. So, yeah, I caught it simply because, hey, it doesn't hurt to have an electric type on the team at any point. Yeah, I have grass types or whatnot, but, doesn't hurt to have an electric type, so I caught it. And so I also fought a Pokemon breeder, and I finally I noticed something, during the attack phase. For whatever reason, the breeder would just clip out of existence, and I don't know why that was. I would see the Pokemon do the move, and then, right before it does the move, the trainer would just disappear, then the move would happen, and then the trainer would come right back, and it's just like, I don't know if that was for the sake of cinematics, but it's very jarring to look at. It's just not very pretty. So I figured I'd just mention that. I did realize that Eevee has voice acting. It has voice acting. I don't know if this was a thing in Let's Go. I didn't buy those games. I don't want to buy those games. They kind of genuinely upset me. A lot more than Sword and Shield, just from the concept alone. Because at least Sword and Shield has the, fact that it lets you fight wild Pokemon at all. So, that already has an edge over Let's Go in my eyes. But, I didn't know it had voice acting, and now it does. And it's fine. I mean, it's just Eevee. It does its voice acting. It just does it just fine. So I caught myself an Eevee, and I'm planning on either making it into an Umbreon or a Glaceon. More likely a Glaceon, because I don't think I've used a Glaceon, period, in this entire series. I think I've had them, but I don't think I've ever used them. So, definitely going to have a Glaceon, and I'm okay with it. I prefer Eevee anyway. Ooh. I prefer to have Eevee anyway, but I am surprised I haven't encountered a Pikachu yet. I've encountered trainer Pikachus, but I have not encountered a wild Pikachu. I don't know what point in the game it shows up. I haven't really thought to ask as to when it shows up. Actually, let me go look. It probably shows up at some point in this game. Probably. Let me see. It's supposed to appear in Route 4. It also appears in max raid battles and whatnot, so there is that. But, yeah, I've kind of been genuinely surprised I haven't encountered a Pikachu yet, or a Pichu for that matter. So, I don't know, we shall see. But I have not encountered one yet. I did encounter Eevee, however. So, I got myself an Eevee. I don't think I've ever used... I think I've used Pikachu because I did a yellow run myself where I just kept Pikachu in my team the whole time. So I felt like that was the point. So, there's that. Another thing I wanted to bring up. I like that Pokemon Camp works as kind of a Pokemon Center on the go. And I think that's very good because it does help with the... healing aspects if you don't have potions and whatnot. And then I wrote, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. I'm sorry, I was in the middle of being chased, but I'm like, I like how it's a Pokemon Center on the go with the whole curry thing. It helps make you know, it helps so that you can heal your Pokemon without having to waste your potions and whatnot. So that was pretty neat, but the major issue with it is that you waste a lot of berries in the process. So it's like you sacrificing one for the other. Which, I mean, that's fair, but, at the same time, And, yeah. And I also did have I did interact with Pokemon Camp at, there are certain spots where you can interact with Pokemon Camp, not, I'm sure you can interact with trainers who are doing Pokemon Camp, but, I was interacting primarily with, NPCs in Pokemon Camp, and I thought it was fine. I thought it was okay. So we finally get to meet Milo in a civilian setting. Design-wise, I found him very curious because he has this very burly, muscular body, but he has a baby face. And I mean, at the same time, I think that's the joke. And if that's the joke, that's fine. I kind of wish he had a nose, but it's fine. I've seen plenty of Krillins in my day, and, he seems like he seems alright, but he's generic. I think a lot of the gym leaders for this gen, I mean, I haven't interacted with them all, but I have a feeling they're going to be relatively generic, not one-dimensional or two-dimensional or anything like that, but they're not going to be very important. He says to go meet him at the stadium, and he was trying to save a Wooloo. So I found that was interesting. It's not as interesting as Gen 5, but it was fine. It wasn't offensive or irritating. It was fine. It was passable. It was much better than Gen 6 in that regard, where Gen 6 gym leaders just felt like they existed for the purpose of battling and nothing else. So there was that. As for Turffield, the place looks like it's supposed to be much larger than it first appears. But it looks like it looks like I can't access a good chunk of the town. I don't know if that's going to ever expand. I don't think it is, because at this rate, it looks like most of it's just the background, which, that's fine, I guess, I just kind of wish that there was more to it, I wish there was just more to it in general. But, I said maybe I'm mistaken. I hope I'm wrong, but because I wouldn't want this to be really boring, and sadly, it is kind of boring. Sorry to say, because there really isn't much to do in this town. Suffice it to say. So we are looking at a geoglyph, because Sonia had us come over to look at this geoglyph, and it looks like a massive a massive image of a creature that, in my opinion, looks like Duraldon, which is one of the new Pokemon introduced in this game. It's a Steel Dragon type Pokemon, and it doesn't have an evolution. I thought it was because it had a similar shape to it. I'm not entirely certain. I've seen in the other blog that they thought it was a Kecleon, but I don't think Kecleon is in this game. For starters, looking around, I'm pretty sure Kecleon doesn't show up in this game at all. Like, I'm looking to see if it does, but I don't think it does. I don't think Kecleon is in this game. Looking around. I'm looking. I am trying to find it. I'm trying to find if there is a Kecleon in this game. Looking. Yeah, no, I don't think Kecleon is even in this game at all. I just don't think it's in this game, period. It doesn't look to be in this game or anything like that. So I don't think it is. I don't think it's in this game. So, yeah, not much of an opinion there. It's, so I don't know what Pokemon it is, but it just looks like Duraldon to me. So maybe I'm wrong, but in my personal opinion, it looks like Duraldon. So after that, I went into the gym and I saw the Pokeball guy. So I talked to him real quick. So he was fine. I actually didn't wind up writing down any notes about him, period. So, I'll say this much. He's fine. He seems like he basically just the guy who gives you very rare Pokeballs, like, like the Gen 2 Pokeballs. Like the Friend Ball and, so he seems like he's going to be that guy. So basically like Samson Oak in Gen 7, specifically Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. When you encounter him the various times, definitely seems like that's what they're going for. That's fine. Outside of that, not much of an opinion right now. So apparently they mentioned this thing called a gym mission, which is, I'm assuming, was supposed to be similar to the Trials in Sun and Moon. It really isn't, but it is, I would say, much more fun than the it seems a lot more fun than a lot of other gyms previously. The fact that in this gym you have to herd a bunch of Wooloos over to this pad so that they can go to the next section, and it's fine. You have to fight trainers and whatnot, but it's fine. I'm gonna sneeze. Phew! Yeah. I had to sneeze. So I had to change to my uniform, and it wasn't the steel type uniform. Figured I'd bring that up. And we are in the grass type gym, and it's very, very large. It was very large, and it also looked like there were wild Pokemon, but there aren't. They are just Pokemon from the trainers. They're Yampers, and they scare away the Wooloo. I don't know how anything could be scared of a Yamper, but that's fine. But then we come back to very hard criticism. Oh my god. Okay, so if you thought the Void earlier was an issue, oh my god. I don't know if they're going to do this for every single gym, but when you fight gym trainers, and specifically gym trainers in this game, in the during the gym mission, I got sent to this green ass void with really no texture on the ground. It was just, the gym's insignia on the ground. And it's just like, it's jarring as fuck that this happens. I don't know why they keep doing this. I don't know what the point is, but that's just it. You get stuck with this shit, and it's just like, why? Why would you do this? I don't understand. So, I don't get why they couldn't just make it the area that you were in. Why they had to take it to the to the green void. And I wrote down, it's, at this point I have ceased being angry and anymore, and I'm just indifferent to this whole thing, and that is worse. That is much worse. Being plain indifferent to the whole thing. My major concern with the whole battle background thing is just, God, it's so half-assed. And here's the thing, and I had a part of this talk with one of my friends. He was like, well, if it doesn't impact the gameplay, then it shouldn't be a problem. And, maybe you're right, but the thing is, we're not in Gen 1 through 5 anymore. We're in Generation 6, or not Generation, we're in Generation 8. Battle backgrounds have been proven that we can have, battle backgrounds that look like the area that you're supposed to be in, and have them look good, and, they have proven that that is possible. That you can have these things that look good, that look like the area in the overworld. But for whatever reason, this game really tries to go the Gen 1 through 5 route and just have you fight in these stale arenas that look nothing like the location that you're in. And it's incredibly jarring when Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon got this right. So I don't know what it is that, why they're doing this. Why does it keep being a fog, and just ground? I don't get it. I don't think I'm ever going to get it. But finally, I moved on, and we got to Milo himself. I like how the gyms are in these massive stadiums, and the gym leader theme is incredible. Yes, I've heard it before, but it is incredible, and I need to say that, Okay, so we have Milo challenging us, and his team is made up of two Pokemon, Gossifleur, it's Gossifleur and Eldegoss. Two Pokemon of the same evolutionary line. And as I read in the other blog on Sword and Shield on the Nuz forum, is that this is kind of a callback to Misty. The other thing that's very interesting about Milo, he is the very, very first gym leader to have level 20 Pokemon at the very first gym. Level 19 and level 20. Radically different. I am impressed that they gave this amount of challenge for this. It's definitely an improvement in my eyes. Usually we have most gyms start off with level 12 and whatnot. And it's like, usually by the first gym, for me anyway, I usually have my Pokemon and my starter, already evolved one stage. Because, that's just me. But I am very impressed by the fact that they, made him have very, Pokemon that were high level. One of the weird things, I didn't get why the game decided to introduce Dynamax at the first gym when technically your first Dynamax encounter is in the wild area. Especially, if you're going around doing stuff there, you're gonna be able to do Dynamax, and they don't explain it when you do it in the wild area. So I didn't know why they brought it up now. Did they not expect you to travel in the wild area very long? I don't know. Another cool thing, though, about this match is that there are cameras floating around, which I thought was pretty neat. makes sense. I mean, it's being filmed in a large stadium, so it makes sense that there are flying cameras and stuff around. I thought that was pretty cool. I like how Milo has a unique throwing animation. It's really cute. He kind of like touches the ball very slowly and then throws it and whatever. But it was pretty cool. So then I got into a double Dynamax battle, and that's when problems kind of start to happen again. I don't hate Dynamax, but my major issue with it is that it makes battles very, very, very slow. It kind of brings them to a halt. For me, while I was doing the Dynamax, it felt like I was just kind of slapping the other Pokemon, but it wasn't doing much. It was just slapping. And it doesn't help that it's the Grass type, because the Grass type Dynamax move puts a healing field, and it heals pretty much both of the Pokemon, on the field. And I'm just sitting here like, so I'm hitting the Pokemon, and it's hitting back, but it's like we're both being healed, so it really doesn't feel like we're really doing all that much. So it slows down the pace of battles. Although overall, Gym 1 was fine. I did like the little trial, the little mission, the little gym mission beforehand, and the battle was fine. I didn't think it was stellar because of the Dynamax gimmick. I am aware that, pretty much eventually you can wipe out Dynamax Pokemon without even using a Dynamax Pokemon. So, if once I get to that point, fuck it. I'll probably stop Dynamaxing myself because, but I do like that at the end of the match, you shake his hand and we get our first gym badge. And so we have started our journey. And here is when we get introduced to one of the worst additions to this game. Catching limits. Catching limits. Oh my god. Why? Okay, so I haven't brought this up yet because, I wanted to wait until we got to the first gym. But in this game, you cannot catch, and I repeat, catch Pokemon above a certain level. This has never been a thing before in any of the Pokemon games. But the fact that you cannot catch for until the first gym, you cannot catch a Pokemon over level 20. And then once you get to the first gym, that only increases by 5. So at Gym 1, up until Gym 1, you can only catch Pokemon up to level 20. Any higher than that, you can't catch it. And I'm just like, what the fuck? What the fuck is the point of that? If they had to limit it, if they had to be limiting so that the player isn't, overpowered, why not just make it so that the Pokemon don't work half the time? We have had disobedient Pokemon as part of the game before. It's not something that's new. It's something that's been a part of the game since Gen 1. You get a Pokemon that's, and you don't have the proper amount of gym badges for that Pokemon. Yeah, it's, of course, it's going to, not obey you and whatever. So, yeah, by all means, it's not going to obey, and whatever. And I just thought it was dumb that they actually put a limit on the Pokemon you could catch. So it's just like, in my opinion, I look at that and I'm like, that's really fucking stupid. It's really fucking bullshit. That's really stupid. But that's going to be the conclusion for Session 3 today. Nothing overly upsetting. It's just this game is becoming a lot more messy and disappointing. It's becoming more disappointing and depressing than it is becoming agitating. There are moments that do agitate me a lot, but for the most part, I think this game is just dull. It is not a very, it doesn't have a lot of things going for it, because it's really just a standard Pokemon game with very few additions and a lot of subtractions. And, I hope things improve next session. I do. I doubt it, but, I hope things improve. Next session, I do want to do Portable live. So, and I'll probably be recording that right after I record this. I want to do that session Portable because I haven't done a Portable session yet. And I do want to cover how this game is on, the portable part. Because, well, the Switch is a portable console. So, I definitely want to see how that goes. But for right now, that has been session 3 of the Pokemon Sword and Shield critique. I think it's the longest one so far, um, but that's mostly because we covered the comment. But thank you so much for listening. I hope you've had a great day, and I will see you with session 4, which is going to be live. So there will be that. Cool.